Remember Destroy All Humans? THQ's human blasting blur of tractor beams and farting cows is the sponsor of today's list. And as one of the most beloved cult classics from the 2000s, there's plenty to talk about. Quickly garnering a dedicated fanbase thanks to multiple well-received sequels, the developers have overhauled 2005's original, building this remake from the ground up. That means a far more fluid control scheme, all new assets and character models, and the best performance possible for a very enjoyable combat model. Speaking of, Destroy All Humans contributed to that faux genre of human experimentation alongside many other titles. You'll see exactly what I mean as we get going. While literature, movies, and TV probably wouldn't work if the main cast's objective is to wipe everybody out, let someone control that carnage, preferably if they're a fang-toothed alien called Crypto, and you have a recipe for success. Of all the titles where humanity is on the receiving end, in a fun way, of course, and in honor of Destroy All Humans' return on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, which is the absolute best? I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games where it sucks to be human. Number 10. Prototype. The age-old debate of Prototype or Infamous always had a clear winner, at least to me. Radical Entertainment's ode to carnage and escapist power fantasy is a wall-to-wall comic book fan's dream. You play one Alex Mercer, a man with one hell of a leather jacket and a suite of tendril-spewing abilities. Only he has no idea how he got them. Radical brilliantly tie the acquisition of new information to specific army generals and individuals in the open world, encouraging you to beef out Mercer's powers so that you're more capable of filling every last gap in his memory. Alex really doesn't care for human life either. Grab an enemy or any pedestrian and you can fling them 100 miles an hour into a wall or a group of bystanders. Elbow drop some tanks, wrench helicopters out of the sky, trigger a smart bomb style attack that levels everything for a whole city block. Prototype is power fantasy wish fulfillment personified. Number 9. Goat Simulator. Made as a joke during a 1-month game jam, the term given to when developers see what they can come up with in tiny amounts of time, Goat Simulator was one of the biggest successes of 2014 and 2015. Yes, its frame rate can drop to single digits, and yes, it feels every bit like the self-aware physics experiment it started out as, but that's not the point. With an extending tongue that can stick to things and whip them in many directions, a ramming charge and a jump, quickly you'll get the hang of Goat Sim's quote-unquote trick system. Something about controlling an apocalypse-bringing goat of death in this way really clicked with everybody who got hands-on. Goat Simulator has since gone on to be sequeled and expansion-packed to death, but the goal of the original never changed. Be as big of an a-hole goat as possible to every last person you come across. Number 8. Overlord. The 2000s were a great time for games with non-human protagonists. I mean, Overlord is kinda human, but he's also a Sauron-adjacent demon god thing, spending his time accruing armies of followers with a platoon of helpful goblins. Both the Overlord games were fantastic, especially in retrospect. Fun, Fable-style black comedy combos of laughing at humanity's expense, mixed with great animation, chunky combat, and puzzles to solve along the way. Gameplay-wise, you were gathering up a variety of cackling, energetic minions to do your bidding, and right from the off, you're free to terrorize the local populace. The focus is on dungeon crawling and puzzles, but destroying a farmer's produce and leveling his house is the first thing you do, with things only getting more cartoonishly evil from then on in. Ostensibly, if you've ever wanted to play an old-school fantasy from the perspective of a silent warlord with a court jester, that's Overlord. Number 7. Trials Fusion. The embodiment of launching human bodies at a problem until it's done, the Trials series became legend thanks to Havoc physics, and the perfect weaponization of just one more try game design. Having roots in various Flash games, all of which pitted your rider and bike combo against ramps, loop-de-loops, and everything in between, did you know that Trials also has some lore and thematics alongside? Trials Evolution had an incredibly well-hidden mystery slowly unraveling the takeaway that you should live life to its fullest. Trials Fusion, though, was far darker. Set in a futuristic series of factories controlled by AIs who talk to you per level, the twist involves realizing that this place is actually a human testing facility. All the large boxes in each level are actually full of people that can be thrown at these macabre level designs over and over. Check your stat screen and instead of attempts made or lives, it shows clones. Coupled with every level ending on your body being blown up or otherwise disposed of, and humanity has clearly fallen to some GLaDOS-style digital overlord, pushing our limits forevermore. Number 6. Darksiders. Though through gameplay and general mechanics you're not laying waste to endless humans in the Darksiders universe, the actual state of humanity is but a blip on the map next to everything that's unfolding. Across all three main games and the mighty Darksiders Genesis, you're playing as literal horsemen of the apocalypse. Slightly twisted to fit this more comic book style world, war, death, fury, and strife go on a variety of missions to quell the uprising of powerful magical factions, the goal being to restore balance to the cosmos. To that end, humans are caught in the middle of a war between the angels and demons, eventually being targeted as over enough time, humankind's power grew to be a threat. In context, it was still nothing against the armies of hell itself, and even in Darksiders 1, by the time war gets to Earth, the entire planet is next to decimated. Barely any humans are left, and all you can hear are screams and signs of far-off destruction. Across subsequent games, we've seen small vestiges of humanity saved by the sage-like makers, but even at the newest point in the combined timeline, things are yet to return to normal. Number 5. Manito. Of all the concepts in all the video games, playing as a whopping great shark with a host of upgrades like firing lasers from your mouth is one of the best. Almost as though developers Tripwire Interactive watched the shark attack scenes from Jaws and gamified them, Manito is a shark RPG, starting you out as a small pup who's been scarred by a fisherman, only to work your way back up the food chain in revenge. Not even beachgoers out the water are safe, as this shark can beach itself, then fire across from person to person, wolfing down anybody that gets in the way. Swatting projectiles back at boats, leaping out the water to grab ranged enemies, once you get the game's combat down, nothing will stand in your way. Starring Rick and Morty's Chris Parnell as a hilarious reality TV host trying to narrate the carnage, Manito came out of nowhere and immediately garnered a cult fanbase. Number 4. Any Dynasty Warriors game. If you've played any of Koei Tecmo's Musou games, the ones where one sword swing takes out a few hundred people at once, you'll know the value of human life here is pretty damn low. Koei would only double down on these tenets going forward, applying them to sister franchise Samurai Warriors and onto spin-offs like Hyrule Warriors 2. Point being, this approach to melee combat is incredibly popular. There's something about chewing through what would be another game's entire enemy pool in a few seconds that resonates with millions of fans. It also means that you should be anyone other than a handful of super heroic main characters in this universe, as chances are your individual value is next to nothing. Number 3. The Sims. How ironic is it, or it's one hell of a comment on human nature, that the first major game to let you control the lives of various other people saw millions of us just see what we could get away with instead. Not just experimenting with the boundaries of the game, but how can we figure out a way to kill the people on screen? The Sims 2 was where this trend really took off as the franchise made its way to PS2. Putting plants in the way so that Sims were forced to stay in certain rooms, the quote-unquote best way was building a swimming pool, getting a load of Sims to hop in, then removing the ladder so that they can't get out. Honestly, if you want a window into our messed up lizard brains, play The Sims and see where your whims take you. Number 2. Earth Defense Force. Another where the overall value of human life is zero, Earth Defense Force is every overblown scene in an anime, comic, or movie where humanity is on the back foot. We're talking entire skies filled with ant-like aliens and ships, explosions all around, hulking ground units coming over the horizon, and waves of fodder bearing down in the foreground. Essentially, this would be the part where someone like the Avengers or another hearty protagonist would come in and save the day. But no, it's up to the Earth Defense Force, a united group of the world's military to repel the invasion one enemy at a time. Gameplay essentially boils down to, like Dynasty Warriors before it, just wading the hell in and obliterating as many foes as possible. I'm talking complete camera movement insanity as your body count rises into the tens of thousands. Everything from insectoids to machinery falls to your cursor hovering over it, and experienced as a 4-player online co-op, there's nothing quite like this franchise. Sadly, with some bland environments and a super anarchic feel, Earth Defense Force is firmly in the cult classic camp. Honestly though, it feels like we're on the cusp of a Monster Hunter World moment if Earth Defense Force could nail a more polished entry to rein in the masses and deliver a definitive installment. And number 1, Destroy All Humans. I miss this type of game. Destroy All Humans embodies that old school mid-2000s feel of just experimenting with 3D graphics, weapon types, gameplay mechanics, abilities, and above all, physics. PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy, and Second Sight had done mind control powers 1 year prior, but Pandemic ran with all those ideas, adding a sharp script that lampooned 1950s hysteria and alien conspiracies, while focusing on all-out fun gameplay that championed experimentation. Finally returning at the close of July, Destroy All Humans has been completely remade from the ground up, focusing on a more fluid control scheme, more detailed graphics, and a general sense of game flow that modernizes the experience for a new audience. This is the best way to experience such a classic game better than ever. Since 2005, Destroy All Humans has accrued a mighty cult following and a smattering of sequels, with the plot simply being an excuse to treat humanity as your plaything. Powers include things like telekinetically launching farmers into their own houses, holographically convincing all those around you that you're actually human, or you could hop in your flying saucer and fling some larger objects around with ease. A total physics sandbox built around anarchic alien fantasies, 15 years worth of fans will likely welcome 2020's edition with open arms. And those are just my picks for video games where it sucks to be human. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below, and please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. We upload on Tuesdays and Fridays. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.